I just got to work. I'm actually outside and I don't have to be in for a little bit yet. So thought I would do a quick update on Annalise and how she's doing. Most of you, if you've watched my videos before, you know that Annalise was born with congenital hypothyroidism. We found it during her newborn screening. It isn't a big deal as long as it is treated and the medication works well. They typically don't have any problems. If left untreated for a long period of time in the first 3 years of life, it can cause some real developmental issues, growth issues, that kind of stuff. If it's really bad, it can cause mental retardation. Thankfully, it is part of the Minnesota newborn screening. We found it right away. She started medication when she was a week old, and she has done wonderfully on the medication. We had to tweak it a little bit in the beginning, as she was, newborns rapidly gain weight, and that very rapid weight gain change kind of screwed with it a little bit, but once we got past that and her growth slowed down a little bit, she's actually done very well. So, we are now at 2 years. For the main part of the first 2 years, she was taking the generic levothyroxine. Recently, our insurance company made some changes. I don't understand them. The pharmacist doesn't understand it. The doctor doesn't understand it. But for whatever reason, our insurance company now will only pay for Synthroid, which is fine. I know that, levothyroxine is the generic version of the Synthroid, so technically they're the same thing. However, there are components of both medications that make things just a tiny bit different, and I know that some people do have a sensitivity to the differences. So one medication will work better for them than the other one. Thankfully, neither Anna or I have had any sort of issue, and one medication doesn't work better than the other. Her TSH dropped a tiny, tiny bit at this blood draw. That may or may not have anything to do with switching to the Synthroid. She doesn't seem to notice any difference. I mean, the pills look different. They probably taste a little different, I would assume. She still takes it, no problem. You hand her the pill, she pops it in her mouth, chews it up, she's good to go. If I try to put it in her mouth, which sometimes I do when I forget, she bites my fingers. So I try to let her do it, but it's really hard to hand a 2-year-old this teeny pill and hope they don't drop it on the floor. She never bites Dad, though. I don't know why she doesn't bite Daddy. She just bites me. So anyway, we did the blood work. She knew the second we got into that hallway where we were going, and she did not want to go. As soon as we got to the doorway to the room where she normally gets her blood drawn, she was like, oh, hell no. I had to pick her up and carry her in and lay her down on the bed, and she's looking at these people like, I know who you are. I know what this room is. I know what we do here. Screw you guys. I want to go home. But she did really well. She actually didn't fight near as much this time as she normally does. The older and bigger she's gotten, the easier the blood draws have been. And it only takes one prick now, and bam, we've got the blood that we need. It's so much easier. It was horrible when she was a newborn, and they'd stick her 4 times and barely get the blood out, and if we were lucky, they got the tiny little 2 milliliters that they needed, and it was awful. It was just awful. So that went much better. Her labs looked really good. Her TSH was good. Her T4 was good. Like I said, there was a slight fluctuation, but I really don't think the different medication made any sort of big change for her. The doctor said those all look good. He also looked at her hormone levels. I think I mentioned this previously. She has had breast buds since birth, and they had been getting not necessarily bigger, but they certainly hadn't been shrinking like they should have by the time she was a year old. They were kind of growing with her. And like I said, by about a year, it's normal for a child within the first year to have them. After a year, they should be gone, and hers weren't. So then they started to worry about precocious puberty. So, was it 3 months ago, when I took her in to do her blood work, her normal 3-month blood work, they did an x-ray of her hands, her wrists, and her knees. And I don't remember exactly if, I know I made another video. If you go back in the video, you'll be able to see exactly what was what. There was some discrepancy in the aging of her bones, and some parts were normal, some parts were slightly elevated, and some parts were marking her as a 3-year-old, and she wasn't even 2 yet at that point. So that was another sign that we thought maybe something could be wrong. Maybe she could be entering puberty early. So we ran the hormone tests this time, and everything came back normal. Her hormones look totally perfectly normal for a 2-year-old little girl, and her breast buds have gotten a little bit smaller. He said that there used to be kind of a knotty tissue underneath that when he would palpitate the area, he could feel that. It was like a knot. And he said that's gone now. He no longer feels any sort of hard mass under there. It's all very soft. It's smaller than it was. She has not grown any pubic or underarm hair. She's not had any bleeding or discharge. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. A 2-year-old with a period? That's just hell. That's just, I mean, not even, I don't care that I would have to deal with it. That's not the issue. The issue is, I know how shitty it feels to have your period, and I would never want my 2-year-old daughter to have to put up with that. I mean, you can't even explain to her what's wrong and what's going on. It just breaks my heart. But thankfully, she hasn't, no bleeding, no discharge, nothing. She's actually going backwards, becoming more of a 2-year-old and less of a teenager. I don't know how to put that, but it's getting better, and it's looking less and less like puberty is setting in early. So that's good. We obviously are going to still continue to watch her. I think he might check her hormones again. I'm not sure, but he will for sure at the next appointment check on breast buds, hair. Body odor is another one. Again, can you imagine putting deodorant on a 2-year-old? It's insane. So, thankfully, that looks good. Her thyroid looks good. He's actually given her the okay now to make the switch from every 3 months to every 4 months. So we get an extra month in there without having to go get blood work done. But then we will still keep going and checking her TSH and her T4, making sure the medication is doing what it's supposed to be doing as she grows. Just keep up with regular doctor's appointments, keep up on her development. If anything ever arises that I feel is out of the norm for her, if she becomes more sleepy, more constipated, starts falling behind on development, that kind of stuff, then I can contact the endocrinologist at any time. And he has been absolutely wonderful. He's a fabulous doctor. We love working with him. He's amazing to her. She hates him. Poor guy. She hates him because she knows when she sees him, it means she's going to get stuck with a needle and blood drawn and held down. And people are going to be weighing and checking her length. And she hates laying down because they want it very accurate. At the regular doctor's office, they allow her to stand up now and just measure from there. But, they need to be very dead on with their measurements at these endocrinologist appointments. So they actually lay her down, and I have to hold her head down, and they stretch her legs out. She just hates it. And I don't blame her. It's scary for a 2-year-old to have to deal with that. So she hates it. And so she doesn't like him, and she never has. And as soon as she learned how to say goodbye, the second he'd come in, she's like, bye. But this time, he got lucky. He came in. He always comes in and he shakes my hand. And I shook his hand, and Anna held her little hand out and shook his hand, and I thought he was going to melt. I think it melted his heart a little bit. He's like, oh, she shook my hand. She likes me today. Poor guy. Like I said, he's so good to her, and she just hates its guts. I feel so bad for him because he's really good. He's been awesome, and he's been very easy to talk to, very easy to work with, very supportive, very encouraging. I expressed my concern to him now in a year when Anna turns 3 years old, and we've kind of gotten past that critical developmental age. See, I can't even, like, deep breath, it's okay. When she is 3 years old, we will take her off the medication. Completely take her off the Synthroid for about a month and see what her thyroid does on its own. We figure it'll do one of two things. Either it will realize that it now needs to kick into gear and take care of itself, and it will do what it needs to do, or it'll just completely flatline on the poor girl and she'll feel like shit, and her thyroid levels and stuff will show. I am terrified at the idea of taking her off a medication she's been on since she was a week old, a medication that works really well for her, and she's doing so well, so well. She amazes me for a 2-year-old, and it's scary. It's scary about taking away something that has made her healthy and smart, and it terrifies the crap out of me. Even though I know by the time she's 3 years old, we've surpassed the danger zone, it still scares the living shit out of me. But I don't want her to have to take medication the rest of her life if she doesn't have to. And then on the other hand, I take Synthroid every day, and it's not a big deal. It's not an expensive medication, as long as you have insurance. It's not, by far, it's not one of the worst medications to be taking. So I'm very, very, very on the fence. On one hand, I want her to be as healthy and as normal as possible, and on the other hand, I've become so reliant on that crutch. It may or may not be a crutch. It may be something she actually needs, but it may be a crutch, and I don't know. It's just scary. But he reminded me that that's a year from now. I've got time to process the idea and the fact that we're going to make this change and to see how she does. And I just need to chill. He didn't tell me to chill, but I'm telling me to chill. So right now, at 2 years old, everything looks really, really good. She's doing very well. We're very happy with her development. Her weight is in like the 60th percentile for her age and height and all that good stuff. And her height is now in the 26th percentile, which is fabulous for Anna because she was below 2% her entire first year. She didn't even make it onto the charts decently until she was in her second year of life. So I know 26% sounds really small, and she is small, but for her, that's some serious progress, and that's really awesome. That means things are going well, and the medication is working, and she's developing properly. So she's good. Mama's a wreck, but she's good. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any experience with congenital hypothyroidism yourself or your kid. Go ahead, let me know. I could always use an extra shoulder to cry on. Anyway, I better get my arse inside to work because it's just about time for me to get inside, and last thing I need is a coworker seeing me sitting out here in my car chit-chatting to myself. They don't think they know I do this, so they're gonna think I'm just talking to myself. And my battery's dying on my phone. Anyway, thanks again, guys. See ya. Bye.